All right, guys. This one's going to start out kind of philosophical and vague. And by the end, I'm going to get very specific and dialed in with what I'm talking about. And I know behind me it looks like blue skies, but right above me right now it looks like it might thunderstorm. So we'll see if it gets loud in here or not. Okay. The title of this one is How Do We Level Up? So what am I talking about with that? So first, what do I mean by leveling up? I'm talking about living consciously. And okay, what do I mean by that? And so this is where at the beginning here, I'm going to get more philosophical than I've ever gotten with one of these before. But I think it's necessary to lead you down the road of where I'm getting with specific change of how do we level up. We are born into a world, we're born into America in this time, we're raised by a certain family, we're raised a certain way in America. We are built into us so many traditions and values and ways of thinking that are just embedded in us that I think most people are unaware of. They just go through life and they're making decisions with this big computer we call our brain that has been programmed by all of the things around us as we were growing up and becoming an adult, and how hormonally we are and personality-wise predisposition towards. And so this is why, both in a religious sense and in a non-religious sense, people talk about, do we actually have self-determination? Do we actually have free will? Or are we just very intelligent animals that are still kind of going on instinct at a more intelligent level, but we're just running on kind of auto-determination because of the world and everything, all the influences around us? I do think we have free will. I think we have self-determination. I think we have the ability to make our own decisions in a lot of ways. Now, we do not live in a vacuum. As I said, we live in this world. But I think within that, you do have that ability. But I think it is very hard to do and very hard to be even become aware of. And that's the thing. I think most people are unaware of how they're programmed and never even question it. So first you have to become aware of like how you do things. People just say, this is how I do things, or this is the way I am. Yes, it is. Is there any of that you want to change? Is there any of that you might like to do a different way? Because I can tell you, when there are things that always happen with you, I always end up dating the crazy girl. I always end up in these kind of situations. I always end up broke at this time of the month. Whatever the thing is, it's not the world happening to you, it's how you do things in this world that is determining that. And if you want to change it, you can, but first you have to become aware of what you're doing. We carry a map of the world that we navigate through that is on autopilot on us all the time. And you have to become aware of this map. And I think it is possible to become aware of it, but frankly, I don't think most people ever will or ever really care to. I'm going to give an example of parenting. And this is something I think with me being an older dad, I have thought a lot about how my parents did things. And I think they did a lot of stuff right. And there's a lot of stuff I want to do different than how they did it. I love my parents. I know they love me. I know they did the best they could. There's some things I want to do like how they did it. And there's some things I want to do differently. And I've talked to Janelle a lot about this, and I've asked her to think about the same stuff. As an adult looking back at your childhood, what did your parents do well and what they did not? Because I see so many people and they're parenting a certain way, and I ask them, why do you do that? Well, that's how my parents did it. And it's like, that's a complete answer. That to me has nothing to do with it. Why are you doing it? Is it a good thing to do or is it a bad? The fact that your parents did it might be great. It also might be awful. But I hear that kind of an answer, and that's what I'm talking about when people are unaware. They're just kind of flowing along. I think it is possible to have an original idea, or maybe not a truly original idea, but I think each of us can reassemble all the ideas in the world that have happened with how we educate ourselves and gain more knowledge and assemble them into somewhat of our own unique way. And so in that sense, we can kind of have an original idea and move forward on our own. So I do think we have free will in a sense. I view it as like I'm a trout in a river. I can't decide if I was a speckled trout here in Texas or I'm a brown trout in Montana. And I can't change the fact that the river is running this way through the mountains. But within that, I can decide to follow the current. I can decide to swim into this eddy over here. I can decide to sit here out in the open and get eaten by a big fish. Or I can decide to go over here by this tree in the water. I do think I have determination. I think we all do. But I think most of us are just trout going with the flow, going with where the stream takes us, and we never really think beyond that about what's going on. So why am I even bothering to talk about this? Because when you're making real change in your life, when you're doing something different, it is going to feel weird. It is going to be outside your comfort zone, and our brain is designed to make us want to be in our comfort zone. So it's going to feel uncomfortable. And the only thing fun about that uncomfortable period is knowing I'm actually outside my comfort zone. So I must be actually trying to make real change. I'm actually doing something different, and that's why it feels uncomfortable. And we often just take that as bad. And that's where I think people, when they're unaware and they end up in that uncomfortable thing, I need to get back to where I'm comfortable. And they get right back into the flow of how they've always done it and back to how they are, and they continue to not change. And so much around fitness and diet is geared to give you cheap dopamine hits that let you feel good about yourself. And oh, you're making change. And you're a hamster on a wheel doing the same thing you've always done. They're just giving you a little encouragement and cheap dopamine hits and making you feel good about it. And nothing actually really changes. Let me give another trivial example. We started the book club at the gym this year. I started the book club. And the few of us that are still in it, let me give a shout out. Sarah, Justin, Lindsay, Jimmy, Stacy, Coach John, Coach Marco, and myself that have stayed true to the path. I wanted to do this because, as we've read through books that I would have never read otherwise, we've gotten a lot of different perspectives on these books, and I have loved the perspectives in the group and ways of thinking about things that I would have never done on my own. And it's made me read books I would have never read on my own. I do like to read, but I tend to read what I like to read. And I've enjoyed all the books we've read, but it has definitely been outside the realm of what I know. And that is, in a very trivial way, me on this journey of I do like to put myself into uncomfortable situations to try to better myself and change. And I think that's why Janelle's even said this. When you met my parents, she's like, where did you come from? And because a long time ago, I really kind of went on this journey of I want to be my own man and really decide for myself who I am. And I have changed a lot over the years. And fortunately, Janelle's been on this journey with me, and I think it's only made us closer. But that's why I kind of seek out those kind of things. So let me give a couple of examples I've done in the gym to try and level up for us. I started doing more of those hip thrusts this year, which has been very popular. I think ways of working the glutes and hamstrings and quads without doing more squatting or deadlifting. You guys seem to have liked it. I've liked it, but I think it's a way of me trying to be creative with, I'm going to bring in something new in a setting that works in a class format that lets us work these muscles in a different way. In the same way we've been doing some of those scales where you lean forward or you stick your leg out in front of you, and holding those balance positions for like 5 seconds, not a big deal. Holding them for 20 seconds gets really tough. And I realized that for myself. And then of course I wanted to share the suffering with all of you. But I think in another sense of us being more athletic, learning to balance in those different positions and get upside down in different ways and hold the different isometric holds is something we can do more of that you'd probably never do on your own. And it's me trying to make all of us more fit and actually give you what you're paying for. A continuing journey of continually becoming more fit and more athletic. So there's two ways I want to talk specifically about this then, and it is starting to rain. Scaling and diet. So I think I will stack up my knowledge on the body of where muscles attach and muscle movement on the body and how all of that works against most professionals in the industry. It's something I've nerded out about since I was a very young man. I just found it entertaining and interesting. So I've always studied that. And so I do understand the movement patterns of the body and how one movement pattern, while it may not look at all like this and over here, is working the same muscles in a similar way. And I view the chance when you're injured or you have to scale, I don't view this as the chance to take it easy. I view this as a silver lining of a chance to make you do something a little out of your comfort zone and actually get more fit and still continue to work hard. And so you guys may have all done this. I ask the question when somebody says, I want to scale, I ask why. And I think some of you, I don't want to make you defensive because it's like, he doesn't believe me. I believe you. I want to know exactly what hurts and what movement patterns make that hurt so that I'm cataloging through my brain, okay, with what the workout is designed to do today and what hurts on you, how can I replicate the workout stimulus and not bother that specific thing? And a lot of times you guys have an idea, and if you've talked to Edwin about it, I have full trust that Edwin knows about your injury and knows what we do, so I will defer to him. If they're like, Edwin asked me to do this, I'm always like, yeah, cool, then do what Edwin told you to do. But if you're asking me, I want to know specifically first, all right, what hurts? And then I usually ask, what movements make that worse? And then in my brain, I'm thinking about the workout and what you're doing, and I'm trying to here's what I'm first trying to do. I'm not letting you off the hook. I've had a lot of injuries myself. You can still work very hard while you're injured safely. And in fact, I think it makes you get well faster. You get a lot of blood pumping, you work the muscles, you work your heart, you make your body healthier, and a healthier body can heal this specific injury faster. So I don't view an injury as a chance to take it easy. I just need to be more creative with how we work. So when in doubt, you guys know a couple of my default options are burpees and or the bike. Because if there's nothing else we can get close to of the stimulus in the workout that I think is just as hard, I'm just gonna make the whole body work hard. And I'm gonna get the whole body working hard, get the blood pumping, get the heart rate working, get your circulation going, and still get you to work really hard. Those are two of my defaults. But otherwise, I'd prefer to be more specific. But that's why when I'm asking why, I want to be specific with you. And that's why I give the coaches total freedom to scale in different ways. Because I have scaled options. If we're not strong enough to do this, we do less weight. If we don't have the ability to do this gymnastic move, here's one that's a little more accessible. But beyond that, if it's scaling for an injury or a specific reason, but you are strong or you are capable in this way, you're just, my knee's injured, my shoulder's injured, whatever, then let's see how we can work around that. And this is me trying to help you continue to level up while you're injured. Because I view an injury as a chance to actually work the stuff you don't normally work or like to work, and actually come out of that injury more fit. Now I'm healthy and I am more fit. And of course, guys, my goal is never to slow down your path to recovery. And it is never to hurt you more or to hurt you. Obviously, I'd be very bad at my job, and I wouldn't still own a gym if that's what I was doing. Trying to make all of us healthier and get back to full speed faster. But I am not trying to get us to take it easy. And I still want full effort. And so that's why I'm thinking through creatively, how do we scale on this? But let me just say, we all scale. I scale at least a couple times a week. Janelle scales. Everybody scales, and I think it's a great thing to do. But I think using as an excuse to take it easy and or just mailing in some generic scaling option is just a missed opportunity for being able to get more fit. The next one is on diet. And guys, this is a big one, but I've worked in corporate fitness. I've worked on that side of the equation. And so much of diet on that side is to make you feel good about yourself and give you this rah thing. And we all get together and tell each other we're doing good. And it's a big circle jerk, and no one's getting better. You're a hamster in a wheel, not actually making any change. And this is why Janelle and I don't send out meal plans, and we've never wanted to, because guys, no one has ever followed a meal plan. It feels good to get it and get all these recipes and look at all this information I have, and no one ever does anything with it for longer than a week. Usually they never touch it. The most I've ever seen anyone do a meal plan is for like 4 or 5 days. It just doesn't work. This is why Janelle and I really want to get results out of you guys. And this is why I went through all that philosophical stuff at the front, is because it is going to feel uncomfortable. When you're suddenly doing something different in the gym, or now I'm talking about with your diet, the only way to get real work done is to have a steely-eyed determination that this is going to be hard and a lot of this is going to be uncomfortable. And I need to be an intelligent enough animal to rise above my base instincts and say, why am I feeling uncomfortable right now? Is it bad? Because my base instincts are telling me you're uncomfortable, this is bad. It is not bad. I'm actually in the change zone, in the level up zone. And that's why I need to continue this path and not shy away from the being uncomfortable. I can't tell you, if I had a dime for every time somebody told me I need to be ripped in 6 months or 9 months because I'm going to a wedding, I'm going to my high school reunion, I'm going on vacation, whatever it is. And it is 1 out of 20 that actually do it. Because as soon as you get out of your comfort zone and you're in the zone of I'm making real change, suddenly you were all pumped up about it today when you talked to me. 3 days later, you're at home, it's been a hard day at work, you're in the dumps, and I deserve what I want to have. I deserve this, I deserve that. I don't have the energy to make this change right now. And you're right, it is hard. So yes, you can go back to what you've always done and you're going to immediately feel comfortable and rewarded and back in your comfort zone. And you're not going to be ripped in 6 months. You're not going to make the change because it's going to take that kind of living outside of my comfort zone for a long period of time. If there was an easy way to get everybody ripped in 6 months, one, I'd be a millionaire if I knew how it is, and somebody else would be a millionaire if they knew how to do it. It hasn't come up, but what there is a lot of people taking a lot of people's money with diet and exercise, with diet stuff, and sending them new supplements, sending them meal plans, sending them the daily email about, you're doing great, having your monthly call, this is going great, and nothing actually real is happening. There is no change happening. They're just continuing to take your money, and you're spinning your wheels like a hamster in a wheel, and nothing's changing. When you are uncomfortable, you are in a good place when it comes to this kind of behavior change. And our ability to think through it rationally and rise above how we feel about it is, I think, the only thing that separates us from any other kind of animal on the planet. So this is all just to say, Janelle and I want to make real change in you guys, and we could. Janelle has started to post a lot of her meals with the meals of the day and the daily drips, but more the meals of the day. And this is to give you guys ideas. So we want to give ideas on like, this is what we eat, this is a real way, because I need examples. Yeah, I want examples. I think that's more practical than a recipe. Here's a picture's worth 1,000 words of what this is. Oh, that looks good, I would eat that. And then you can usually figure out how to make it. It's not rocket science, because it's usually not that complicated. And if it is, you can ask. But that has been, I think, well received, and we do that for free. We don't charge for that. Even though a lot of people I know give that same kind of information and they charge a lot for it, we don't charge for that. When Janelle's charging for functional feeding, she wants to know exactly what you're doing, and then you can change at the rate you want to change. If you want to be really aggressive about it, great. If you want to be very conservative and just make little changes along the way, great. It's on you. We can be as hard about this or as not hard, but either way, it is going to be a little hard because it's going to be outside your comfort zone. So I just want to say, guys, the first time, let me give some examples. The first time, instead of doing Uber Eats on Monday, you went to the grocery store on Sunday, you're doing something different. The first time you're in a conflict with your spouse and you're getting upset and you're about to say the I always or you never, one of these kind of things, and you stop and you step back and you take a breath and you're like, I'm about to say something really general and emotional. Give me a second to collect myself and say something specific, working toward a resolution. You're doing something different. The next time after dinner, instead of grabbing your phone or sitting on the couch and watching TV, you go out the door and take a walk. You're doing something different. And you're going to do these things, and then you're going to go right back to how you always done it. And that's where we usually say, fuck it, I only did it once. But then go do it a second time. And then you're going to go back to how you did things again. Fine. Do it a third time. And suddenly you're doing this new thing 60% of the time, and then 70, and then 90% of the time. But that's going to take time, and that's a process, because I'm actually asking you to make real change in some behavior of how you've always and normally done things. And this is what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about leveling up, it is this kind of specifics with behavior. There's a million examples when people ask me, do people have free will? And I'm like, yes, they do have free will. And we could argue about this forever. It's been something that's been argued forever. But I just think of when someone's lying to me, I can choose to call them on it or not call them on it. And again, I'm not saying what the right answer is. Maybe I shouldn't call them on it. But I know I could or I could not. And maybe I naturally always do or I naturally always don't. But I know I have a choice. When I'm walking down the street and I see a spider on the sidewalk, I know I could step on it, or I know I could not step on it. I know I have a choice. When there's a cookie on the counter, I know I can pick it up and eat it, and I know I could not. And there's huge urges to eat the cookie or not eat the cookie. But I know I still have a choice despite those urges. This to me is proof of we can make changes. It is just very hard to do. You have to really want it, and you have to be able to think a little bit higher level, a little more intellectually, a little bit above your emotions to make real change as a human being. So I hope all this makes sense. I hope some of this resonated. Let me know what you think. Leveling up is hard. Right on.